Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the July 13th, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting. May I have a roll call, please? I call the Board of Selectmen to order. May I have a roll call, please? Do it.
Okay, I'll be a 10-second clerk pro tem. All 5 selectmen are present, along with the town administrator and town council.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so that, oh, okay, good thing we asked that.
Ms. Wertz, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
so-
Announcements. Mr. Tropiano.
Let's see. Agenda. I don't know if there's anything in here. to be
Probably
honest
not.
with you. No, I don't think so. There's nothing in here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Muniz, announcements?
Oh, announcements, that's things that are upcoming, right?
Yes, sir.
Nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum? Thank you. Mr. Slavin?
Give me a second here. As everybody knows, the highway construction on 6 and 28 is now going full bore. The relocation of the power lines, et cetera, isn't quite finished, but the actual road construction has started. And if you give me a second, I've already reached out to the chief engineer. I've had a couple people call me about gravel on the road, et cetera. I'll read the response from Michael McGrath, who's the chief engineer for this project. PA Landers is tentatively setting up paving for Thursday and Friday this week behind the barrier. This should alleviate the gravel issue in this area. As they proceed with widening the work, we will need to keep an eye on this, because there has been people complaining about gravel getting thrown up on cars, et cetera. So I'm keeping after it for everybody else. That's all I have right now.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. Citizens' comments, and I would remind you that you are limited to 2 minutes, and sometimes I go 2:30. I'm sorry, but you are Miss Edward Davis, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not going to allow you to speak.
I'm not commenting on the issue you're commenting on, which is ridiculous anyway, but I'm commenting about something completely different.
I'm sorry, our policy is that if there's either a threat or actual litigation, we cannot speak, allow you to speak. No, Ms. Hayes.
Outrageous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who chooses to address this board? Seeing none. Board's comments. Mr. Titlebaum, what we are hearing about this evening is your priorities and initiatives for the coming year or the current year.
Oh, okay, I have a couple of lead-in comments that are not at all related. It's summertime in Wareham once again, which means there are 2 things out there that can kill you. One is the sun, because if you spend too much time out in it like I did when I was an ignorant youth, you wind up with skin cancer. And I just had one burned off my back a few weeks ago. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to come back. It's not incredibly dangerous. But wear a block. Be careful. Obviously, on a day like today, you don't have to worry too much. Hopefully, we don't have too many more gray days. And the other thing is the mosquitoes are rampant with all this rain. And you don't want to be the first patient with EEE, so spray when you go out, please.
Okay, your presentation for them.
Yeah, I mean, I put in for my goals. The first one was to continue the work with the Redevelopment Authority. I don't think I need to go into great detail about that. You know, we've got the Littleton Drive projects, urban renewal plan that we need to get done, and just continue to follow the redevelopment strategy guidance document. The other thing is to work on bylaw review. We're really supposed to have started that last year. Put together a bylaw review committee. That's another every 10-year function. But beyond that is the codification of town records. Before the pandemic, the town clerk had been looking into getting a firm to come in, go through everything we have, go through all the bylaws, go through all the health regulations and so on and so forth. and codify them. And by that, it would mean coming up with an absolute, certain, up-to-date version of the bylaws. And they would track these things going forward. They would track the town meeting changes, they would track special legislation, whatever impacted the charter, the bylaws, sewer or health regulations. That's something I'd like to work on. I'm not sure how much funding is available for something like this, but it would be good to at least outline what the task is. And I think that's something I can work on.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Slavin, you didn't respond in writing, but do you choose to speak to your 2 or 3? You've got 2 or 3 minutes for each. Or, and if you have 5, then you have 2 minutes for each.
Well, I've listed out a few weeks back what we're doing. We're at a kind of a crossroads, mainly because as far as the train and everything else, I think there was an article in the paper just recently, which I think we laid out all the details of what's going on. And we're at the mercy of the accounting department of Mass DOT Rail, who makes the final decision on any rail project. And it depends on the subsidy of how much it's going to, the subsidy per rider, you know, for this particular project for Wareham's commuter rail. I've gone as far as I can go, except to continue lobbying. I've got several projects. One's on Merchant's Way to get the train crossing in order to do the boardwalk, et cetera. But I'm at a standstill because Redevelopment Authority has no money. And they're the ones that are supposed to be, you know, basically doing the study, et cetera, that Mass DOT requires, which myself and Ken went to the state in Boston to get that okayed. And the problem is we have to actually do the study itself, which is one of the requirements. So I'm at a standstill there. I've spent some time looking at the Redevelopment Authority's finances, and I won't get into it this time, but they should have had money here, and there's other money sitting out there that they haven't collected on. The other pieces that we have to take care of, the community center, I think you've also stepped up yourself and went to the COA meeting. So both of us are working in different directions to try and get a community center done. I'm working with a couple private firms, public firms, to see what kind of grants I can get. Plus, I'm watching what's coming down with the opera program and the infrastructure program. So basically right now, everything I've got planned, that I've been working on for as much as 10 years, is sitting on hold waiting for monies.
Okay,
So
thank
there's
you,
not much
Mr.
I can
Slavin.
do.
Thank you. Mr. Muniz,
Yeah, I have a few things.
can you use your mic, please, buddy? Thanks.
I have a few things here. Can you hear me, Bob?
Yep.
All right, review town policies and recommend for action. A lot of them are outdated, not relevant any longer.
Yep.
Many duplications, triplications. Just clean that up. Work, with local, regional, and district committees to help foster, develop more cohesive, more effective forms of town government that reflects the values and interests of the inhabitants of the town. Work with the town administrator or the board to have him survey all the buildings and give us a report on conditions and
Town-owned
suggestions.
buildings.
Correct. Over the last 4 or 5 months, myself and some different committee members and a few citizens have visited some of the buildings in town. Everett School, the old West School, Deacon's, and in addition, what else did I go to there? Oh, Hammond also. I've been in both sides. So I know that you plan on doing something like that, so we could either put our efforts together or, it's what conditions they're in, what should we do in the long run with them. Again, Mr. Sullivan would probably do something, have something to do with that and give us some information, and so we can make good decisions. Look at consolidations of some of our town rented facilities. Possible allowing for renovation, repurposing for the town level. Continue working with the Affordable Housing Trust, identifying properties that may provide for relief towards meeting affordable housing goals, providing much-needed housing for residents of our town. Continue working as a member of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust to identify and secure funding sources to make the trust a viable resource to some of the most vulnerable populations within the town. Continue to promote inclusionary zoning and other alternatives to ensure affordability in all areas within the town through through and related to zoning bylaw changes, proposed town bylaw changes related to Wareham Affordable Trust, review and complete updated housing production plan, continue work with the Regional Refuse District on a new agreement reflecting the district's current operation, and not that as a landfill in 1983. And as we go through the year, we as a board could review costs versus expense of our now current operation, and of course, Mr. Sullivan would provide us with information related to that, just to see how we're doing. And continue to work on the town's interest in leasing the property in Rochester as a member of the committee of the district. Work towards making the town website easier to navigate, information of town services better and more easily accessed. Funding for staffing, capital improvement, I would all like to do that. Work towards who owns the dam, the Parker Mill Dam. Discussion on Elm Street, what we're gonna do with the Parker Mill Pond. Illegal earth removal, address issues related to that. Continue attendance on webinars offered by the Mass Municipal Association, Mass State Selectmen, Select Board Association, Mass Housing Authority, Mass Housing and Development, Community Development, Cape Cod Compact, Municipal Government, etc. Be responsive to town as a liaison to town boards and committees. I will address that later. And gather public input on ideas, directions, decisions related to current proposed projects, bylaws, and other actions related to the town. Thank you.
Thank you. I see that you have most of it written down. Could you just forward a copy of that to Ms. Slaney so she doesn't have to, she can cut and paste? That would be great.
If you want to go into that much detail.
Um,
But yes.
Yes, we
I don't
would.
want to be held to it all, because it's, if I can get some of
Well,
it
you
done,
were-
I feel like I've accomplished something.
You were only asked for 3 to 5, and I think you came up with 17. I wasn't really counting, but thank you
I think
so
you were.
much. Okay. Mr. Tropiano?
Okay, so I was working with the school, as you know, for the new school, and that's kind of come to an end as for what I have to do. What I have to say, the committee has been so terrific, it's amazing. Those guys have done, this town owes them a real lot of gratitude for what they've accomplished. And it looks like that thing will get turned over sometime in September, which is amazing. And they'll be moving in October, and that's just incredible. And I don't know if you've been by there now, but they did the outside. They did all the banks and everything, and it's starting to look really beautiful over there. It just amazes me. And and really, I've had little part of it. I mean, other than to listen to some of the stuff, but these guys, they have put together a heck of a team over there, and they've done a whale of a job. And I know they saved us a ton of money here and there. So, and they're very particular about checking the dollars about this and that. And I mean, I tell you, I can't give them enough praise. But I'm sort of done with that. Not that I'm done with it. It's just that it's just something that doesn't need my attention anymore. Next is the transition from sewer rates to EDU, water in, water out. And this has been dragging on and on and on, as everybody knows. When we were the sewer commissioners, we kind of set this in motion, and it really hasn't gotten anywhere. And part of that is because we had some issues negotiating with the districts and so on. So I've decided, I thought that we should get this sort of over the goal line. So I've asked Peter to help me with the Onset Water District and the Wareham Water District, as well as council, because it looks like we're going to have to sort of get this going and force the issue. And so we're going to deal with that, and Peter's agreed, and I believe council also has agreed. I don't know where Ty and Bond left this out, but we'll work with the sewer commissioners to try to figure it all out and get it done. Because, there's been some talk about using other rate measures and stuff, and it just doesn't work. The best way is water in, water out. Everybody, it's a fair deal. You get a water bill based on the base price, and then if you use more, you pay more. And that's the fairest method of anything. If you are a big user, you pay more. If you're a little user, you should pay less. This helps seniors a great deal because, let's face it, I don't know too many seniors using a lot of sewer, going in and out, you know. They tend to be either by themselves or with, you know, one mate, and they use very small amounts, and they shouldn't have to pay as much as everybody else. It's just not fair. Next up, I'm working on the police study committee and try to get this police station across the thing. As you well know, I set up the second committee back in 2000. I think it was 2001 maybe that we set it up, and Claire took that reins of that committee as well, and we did all the stuff we're doing again now, because, you know, it changes all the time, and tried to push it across the line back then. I ended up leaving the board, and they sunsetted the committee. And I felt so bad for Claire, so I'm hoping to push it across the line with her this time. I think there's a lot more people who understand how necessary this is. The police station is just not, it's just not there. You know, it's just time. It's time to get it done and push it across, whatever we're gonna have to do. So I wanna keep working with that committee and work towards identifying the final site quickly. You know, I think we're kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty now, and I'd like to see that happen. I know the RFP, I don't know where that stands right this minute. We have a meeting coming up. I'm sure we're going to find out where the RFP actually stands. I'd like to, you know, have some conversations with Derek and find out, see if we can identify some funding sources down the road, however it's going to, you know, whatever we can put together. I know there's not that much money around, but, you know, maybe there's some things that, you know, if we all put our heads together, we might be able to come up with. Alan can help with some of that with the state level maybe, and, you know, Derek's probably the best guy I know for finance in the country. I mean, this guy is amazing. And then the board needs to do some outreach and let people understand about why we're doing this and all that kind of stuff, so that, you know, everybody realizes how important it is to the community. And that's where I'm standing right now. I have a third one that kind of came up today, and I'm going to start maybe putting something like that together, for that one. But right now, it's just an infancy.
Okay, thank you. I have three, and the first one really is to sell as many town-owned properties or facilities so that the proceeds are reinvested in town facilities or buildings. That's very much in line with what Mr. Slavin was talking about, and probably Mr. Muniz as well. When we sell a town-owned building, the funds must go into a town-owned building, and there are certainly several properties that we own currently that are in need of lots of work. It's sustainable only if we are able to dispose of surplus and unused properties. That was one of the things I asked you gentlemen to look at, was the sustainability of your ideas. And the advantage to the program would be to encourage private investors, private sector, and thereby creating a taxable property base, which would certainly enhance everybody all the way around. I had a tie for my next two. And one of them is to improve the Council on Aging facility, and the second one is to enhance the community's use of the library by upgrading the facility or creating a new facility. I don't really need to go into any details. Certainly the Council on Aging has been pushed from different rooms in this building, for instance. About a third of the people in this town are considered seniors, and it is really pretty shocking that we don't have better facilities for them, and we need to find an appropriate facility and be able to fund it appropriately and in a sustainable fashion. May need to partner up with GATRA or some other transportation in terms of wherever the facility might be located. And that would be the same with the library in terms of being able to cross-check with GATRA to make sure that people are able to get to the library facilities. We have several funding sources that are available to us. Some of them are grant funding and require writing grants. The library has a foundation and the Friends of the Library. The Council on Aging has not as much of a backup fiscal plan, if you will, but the meeting that I went to, 2-3 weeks ago, it was a very energetic meeting, and I came away thinking the people at the meeting have some really good ideas. They're willing to work very hard, and they are very committed to improving the facilities for the Council on Aging. Those are mine.
I got one more thing to add. I just want to say one thing. I want to thank Claire for taking charge of the third, 3 times, 1, 2, 3 times, of the third study committee to build a police station over the course of 25 years. And she's done a great job, and I hope that we're going to push this across the finish line this time.
Thank
3
you.
times the charm, I hope.
Okay, great. We have several appointments, reappointments, or interviews. I'll listen to
We
you.
got quite a stack
Some of them
here.
are reappointments. In fact, most of them are reappointments.
All right, I'm just going to follow the way they are on the list here, okay? And see if cemetery commissioners, okay. We've got 1. All right, so I move that we appoint Kathleen Bird as a cemetery commissioner to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2024.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? This is a re-up for Mrs. Bird. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, to the historic district, I think there's 2.
Yes,
Make sure they have the same, they have the same expiration. So Patricia Neal and Cheryl Knapp, I would like to appoint them to the Historic Commission to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2024. And they both have the exact.
it should be the Wareham Historic District Commission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wareham District Commission. Did I say that? What did I say? Historic?
Yeah, Wareham Historic District.
But
Okay.
it's, the official name is district, so I should have done it properly.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
It is an overlap, but
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous.
all right, next is the Recycling Committee, I believe. Jennifer Gady. And let's see, she, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2024.
She is a re-up as well. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. Thank you.
All right, so the next is Constables. Now, we have quite a few here. And of course, you know they go from year to year, so they're all the same. Is there anyone that anybody wants me to pull out that I can't just name these two all together?
There's one new one, Mr. Stubbart.
Just who? Stubbard? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Stubbart. Is Mr. Stubbart here?
Is he here?
No?
Okay, so
Okay.
I'll pull his aside.
Yep, the rest of them are
The
re-ups.
rest of them were re-ups, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we got Charles Devlin, Richard Coletti, Herb Vandal, Joel Thomas, Greg Kamen, and Ian Daly. And I move we appoint them all to a term to expire June 30th, 2022.
Is there
Second.
a motion made and seconded to reappoint all of them? Is there further discussion?
Just, the reason they came back on was there was no written policy in place about meeting quotas or amount of money or providing services within the town during the year. So we are trying to not have almost an unmanageable number of constables in town. So hopefully we can send something out to all of them stating that, these are the conditions under which we would consider reappointment in the future. And I don't know if we need to do that as a board and come up, or if you can
Well, there's
do something.
a couple of them that are problematic, like Greg Kamen is one of them. He works through the sheriff's office. So that's a little bit of, there's an issue there. We need to deal with that and find out what it's going to be.
Yeah, that
So,
I understand what you're saying, but I think the issue was, lack of doing any services or not, minimal. Is it worth it to them? Is it worth it to us to put all the effort into, doing the background checks and our town, our administrative assistants doing all the work to process it? So,
But Greg Kamen does more services in Wareham than any other sheriff, any other constable by far. He works out of the courthouse, he works through the sheriff's department.
that sheriff is separate than the town. They have permission to serve within the counties. So that's a different issue.
He has to have a license, he has to be. a
No.
constable
Okay,
in that
gentlemen,
Yeah, that's different.
town. We're gonna have to
Okay,
deal
we're
with
gonna-
that.
I'll
yeah.
move on that. So,
yes, thank you.
So I just wanted to state
yeah,
that. I'm not against,
I understand that, sir.
Yeah.
Maybe you and I can work together on
sure,
some
in town
suggestions?
council,
Okay, thank you,
if you would,
thank you.
just, yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. A motion made and seconded to reappoint the first 6 names read by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Abstaining, it is 4-1-0. And then Mr. Stubbart would be a brand-new one, please.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know much about, is he here?
No.
Because I've never met him, or, there's nothing, I'd like to see the guy at least,
Yeah, that would be nice.
in order to add somebody to the thing. You obviously would like to see him and talk to him, and I see, it's like, bonds, let's see what I got here.
Okay, may I have a motion to table it
Yeah.
for 2 weeks?
Yeah, we can just pass it
Motion made to
over.
table and a second for 2 weeks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we will invite Mr. Stubbart to attend that meeting of the 27th. Thank you.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense if nobody's here.
I honestly don't know whether he was invited. I don't think he was invited, to be honest with you.
Application for DJP Liquor Corporation, DBA East Wareham Liquors, 2991 Cranberry Highway, for a change of DBA.
Is there someone here to speak on behalf of the, yeah.
Is
Okay.
the same owner?
It's me.
Could you identify yourself for the
Hi,
record?
my
please?
name is Dipen Kumar Patel. I'm the owner of the jug shop.
Closer, please.
You want
Closer to the mic, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dipen Kumar Patel. I'm owner of the jug shop.
You're
And-
the owner? So you're the new owner?
Yeah, I took over like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Right, and he's the one who's moving it to a different location, and he's changing the name.
It's just changing the name to reflect the address.
Is that what he's doing?
I think
Yes.
he's doing
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Yep. It's
That's
to
all he's
East
doing, that's
Wareham.
fine. I just was a little
Oh.
interested to see
Yeah.
why.
All of the
I
paperwork.
want to make sure it's the same owner, otherwise it's a
Yeah.
different thing.
Yeah.
I was
altogether.
changing the DBA name.
Right,
Okay.
and all of the paperwork is in order. Thank you,
Yep.
sir.
All set.
All right.
Do any of you have any questions of Mr. Patel?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion to approve the change of the DBA. All, any,
You're moving stock and everything?
Yeah.
Through you to our town attorney. How does that work? And do they have to hire an outside agent to do that, or? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
that's a good question.
With your
Mr.
permission,
Bowen?
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
No, as long as they're using their own staff to move the liquor, that's fine.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is what you intend to do, sir?
Yep.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve with a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you.
The
Good luck.
paperwork probably will not be, all of the paperwork probably will not be available until Monday, only because we have one employee out on vacation, which means that we have
Okay.
one employee trying to,
I'm not too hurried. It might
Okay.
take a month.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck in the new venture.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next up is the application from T-Bar Llc. Okay, so this has got a little bit of a change for everybody's edification. And Trevor has given, Kara Watson has given Cassandra the authority to change this, so if you look at the new ones, they say Trevor Watson, 144 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass, because they can't be in the company name, so now they're in his individual name.
And-
The other thing is that they originally were all alcoholic. Can't have all alcoholic because he's a for-profit-ish situation. If he was
Not for profit.
non-for-profit, we could give him all alcoholic. Other than that, we have to give him beer and wine. So this is being set up for beer and wine only.
We have someone representing him in front of us. Would you care to
Hi.
identify yourself, please?
Hi,
for the record?
Attorney Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. Thank you, Mr. Torbiano. Yeah, I understood through Ms. Laney that change. Just another thing, and we are going through the seasonal license too, so that should be coming in front of you. I believe the last agency to sign off on that is the Inspectional Services. You know, that's our intention, to get that seasonal license, it being a seasonal business.
Thank you.
Right.
So,
Now, these are gonna have to be changed before we sign them,
We're
okay?
not even
Because
supposed.
they say all alcoholic, so they're gonna have to get changed.
okay, so what is your motion, sir?
So I move that we approved the 12, I believe there's 12, one-day liquor licenses for beer and wine for Trevor Watson of 144 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass.
Okay.
I'll
And,
second, but I have some questions.
yes,
Chapter 138.
thank you. Mr. Slavin, you have questions? That
Yeah.
has a motion and a second, thank you.
There is, I believe, two businesses running out of the same facility now. How are we going to separate that? How's that going to work? You have basically a Saturday, Sunday restaurant only, which I have no problem with. I think it's a nice thing for the village. But
Right.
at the same time, you're running, the beer and wine as a separate business, and
Right, understood.
I'm concerned how you're going to separate these two.
Yeah, there was a couple of hoops with this site, because it used to be an art gallery. We had to change of use to make it this Italian cafe, which is doing great. And then at that point, those people can either purchase sandwiches, food there, and then the beer and wine, that's separate. That's a separate business. So it's not under the cafe's purview.
But it's all in one same building. It's not really
Right.
separated.
So separate,
That's
cash
it.
only for the beer and wine for the bar, and then it's a separate business under the Italian cafe.
I would reach out to Mr. Bowen. Does that create a problem?
Mr. Bowen, please.
Sorry to make your life difficult.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, to Selectman Slavin. To be able to answer definitively, I'd probably have to see a floor plan. But in the absence of a floor plan, here's the general rule. A special license or one-day license can't cover the same described license premises of another business that has a liquor license. So, for example, if, we'll say this piece of paper was your business floor, if your special license was on one side, and then I assume there are two liquor licenses here, the other liquor license was on the other, and you had a clearly described line between the two of them, that's fine. But you cannot have the special license occupying any of the area that's subject to the regular liquor license. Similarly, the inventory for the two businesses has to be separate, both separate in terms of being paid for and ordered. The special license has to order on its own account, and it has to be stored separately.
Right. Thank you.
There is no other license, right? It's just,
I'm sorry?
there's not another liquor license.
No, we're in
there's
the,
only
in the
one.
process, yeah.
Oh, that
of
makes it
seasonal.
easy.
You're right.
Right, so it was sort of we had delayed so much that he needed to be able to get the summer season. So the only way he could do that was with the one-day licenses, so.
Mr. Slavin, are you all set with your questions?
I guess
sir?
my only other question would be, we still have one premises, Rich, which I don't think is divided per se. Should we have on file, or we can approve this pending a basically floor plan layout so we know what we're doing? I'm trying to make this easy, not have a problem down the line.
Well, through you, Madam Chairman, and Selectman Slavin, I think as long as the application has a clearly described area in it, and I can't say whether it does or it doesn't, that would be sufficient. So if there is one and you vote to approve it, that's fine. If there isn't yet a clearly described license area, then council could submit that type of description. And when would the license be used? I assume before your next meeting in a couple of weeks.
July 16th.
July 16th.
Yeah, okay, so time is of the essence here. So it's probably important for the board to set some general outside boundary at this point, and then council could submit something later that was like a Russian doll that fit within the outer envelope, if you know what I'm saying here.
Does, Mr. Slavin?
I would think because of the shape of the building, et cetera, they should be able to, in a day's time, just come up with an actual floor plan. I believe we could accept this as long as we receive on file, showing it's separated. Again, I don't want to make life miserable,
No, that would be
but
fun.
I'm just concerned that we'll run into an issue if we don't do that.
Easy fix, because we have a floor plan with the seasonal license already
Super.
done. So I
I'm
can
happy.
just submit that to Ms. Slaney.
Does that set, Mr. Bowen? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, Mr.
I think Jim was...
Mr. Muniz?
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, you're paying for 12 of the 1 days in advance right through August 21st, so obviously you're not looking to get the seasonal until after that time?
Right,
Okay.
right.
I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
was
to
understood,
get
because
ahead of it.
otherwise you wind up in that conflicting situation between 1 days and licensed premises that Attorney Bowen was talking about earlier, so.
Right.
Okay.
Once they get
Thank
the
you.
other license,
Mr.
they
Muniz?
just give up the others.
Presently in the process of securing a license and has applied for it and
Yes.
Yes.
made payment for it,
I'm sorry?
made payment for
Yes.
Right.
a license,
So I've already, I don't have the actual date I applied. I believe it was May.
right?
Yes,
it's-
it is in process.
Right.
Through you, Madam Chair,
Mhm.
to Attorney Bowen, we allowed to provide one-day permits to an applicant whose license is being processed?
It is not being, it's in our hands. It is not a complete, if I may, it's not a complete application because not all of the signatures required have been obtained.
But it's being processed.
It's
It is
on,
or isn't?
it's on hold in our office awaiting signatures. So I don't know how you want to, Mr. Bowen? I don't know how you want to.
Madam Chairman, I'll just read from the statute, and then we can take it from there. Chapter 138, Section 14 says, screen went dark. A license under this section shall not be granted to any person while his application for a license under Section 12 is pending before the licensing authorities. So the question here is whether the application is pending before the license authorities. If it's incomplete,
It is.
it's not pending before you. But once it's complete, it is pending in front of you. So do
Right.
with that what you want.
So
Thank you.
What's the timing question?
Yeah, it is not complete. I can attest to that because I know what it's missing.
Well, and I'm assuming you're getting the other license in the name of a company,
Right.
not in the
Yes.
name of an individual.
That's correct.
So there's a distinction, eh?
And who's the licensing authority? Is it
You know,
the
there's
select-
always holes you can jump through.
Right. Or is it the alcohol commission? So who's the licensing authority too?
You know,
So we
Yeah,
could
the
go
local
lawyerly.
licensing, and
yeah,
then they,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Are there any? Okay, are there any other questions? I think we have a motion and a second.
Yep.
To approve all of them.
What were the dates?
They're on your,
Right.
They're on the paper.
they're on the table, sir.
way,
July
with the
16th, 17th,
stipulation-
23rd, 24th, 30th, 31st, August 6th, 7th, 13th, 14th, 20th, and 21st from 4 PM to 10 PM.
I gave, the stipulation is that they also give us a premises map ASAP,
Floor plan.
okay?
Yep.
To go in the file.
Can you get that to us, tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe Ms. Laney already has it with the other application, but I'll resend it.
Resend it, please,
Yep,
so it's
under
in a
this one.
separate application pile? Thank you.
For wine and malt liquors, right?
For wine and beer only, yeah.
And if I may, when did that change? Because I wasn't aware of that. Was
Well,
that?
because it's, he's a for-profit, so he can't have
Okay.
all
It's a
alcohol.
law.
In a one-day
Okay,
license.
the other license, okay.
And
Okay. It's,
Right.
there's, you know,
Ms. Slaney actually talked with him today,
Oh, good.
which was difficult because he's quite sick and his voice is really
I
weird.
Right,
would say
right.
that we
And then-
have done that in the past
Yeah.
incorrectly.
And I talked with him as well to
Excellent,
confirm
okay. Thank
that
you.
that we were changing it.
Thank
And
you
we
very
have that
much.
in writing, if you'd care to see it.
Totally.
Thank
We
you.
do make,
guys.
we do make mistakes.
No.
If you could let Trevor know, we know it's been a long road. We appreciate his investing in the
Right.
community and continuing to
Yeah, I
make
think
things
it's
better.
and the cafes are great. I've heard great things, so it's good.
So.
Thank you.
Thank
Right.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting them as read into the record, for the record, and from the Times also read into the record. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous.
These gotta be reprinted, so you're gonna have to sign them later in the office, okay, guys?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. The first
We'll have
one
a
is on
full-
the
Yeah.
16th, so that would be Friday, so we need to get them done
We need to
by
get over
Thursday.
there. She'll
Yeah.
fix them quick tomorrow.
She'll
Right.
fix them first thing
Just
tomorrow
one little
morning.
change of words there, that's all. Okay.
You want to do the
I
16th
can do
that
the
way? Let's do the
16th now.
16th and the 17th that way, just to make sure that,
So we have them in
I guess
hand.
we can
Yeah.
do that.
Excellent.
thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Wait for vote.
Hold on a minute, let me just, give
Yep.
me 1 second, because I'm not sure that they're actually in order here.
Probably
So,
not.
No, they don't. This is July 16th and 17th, right
Yes, sir.
here. They seem to be on the same sheet.
Yes, she put them on the same.
Yes, they
yeah.
are, so that's kind of cool. All right, so I will fix it. Dining hall. Approved. I also need the other one, hold on. There's 2 things you gotta sign here, so.
I didn't sign those
Plenty
yet.
of sneaking, please.
What are they?
We'll, August. Ones.
Anybody want to do a song, a dance?
Saturday, the 17th and 16th.
No.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. Bowen says no.
Take this out.
God, no.
Okay.
Turn
Thank you
mine.
for your patience. I see. That's correct. It's not on the agenda. You are absolutely correct.
Okay, so
I'll put it on an agenda, see what happens.
Okay. Take care of that. Little devil right there.
How was the birthday party?
Great.
Good.
All right, so next up is the ratifying of hires. Joshua
No, we went over
Oliver.
A, Nature's Medicine.
Yeah, we don't have any information in the file that was provided to us at all on the operation, hours of operation for Nature's Medicine.
Right.
Is anyone here to represent Nature's Medicine? Okay, then we will put it back on the agenda on the
I have nothing.
27th, because we have nothing in the
No
file
paperwork, nothing.
nothing. Okay, so now we will move on to the ratifying
All right.
of the hiring.
So Joshua Oliver is a part-time code enforcement officer, inspectional service. Christian Andrews is a part-time laborer at the transfer station. Paul Kluter as a laborer at the water pollution control facility, and Patrick Marshall, a library director. Oh, okay, so okay, so I'm gonna
Yes.
take him out for now, and
Yes,
we'll just
please.
do those others. All right, I move we approve those ratifications.
So there are 3, Joshua,
3, yep. Joshua Oliver, Christian Andrews, and Paul Kluter.
is there a second to those?
Second.
Thank you. Those are ratifications for hires. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous.
And Patrick Marshall is here.
Patrick Marshall, come on
Come on
down.
down, you're the next contestant.
All right, and before he gives you his background, I just wanted to let you know there was 2 rounds of interviews. The final round consisted of Chairman Whiteside, Melissa Dyer, Chair of the Library Board of Trustees, Priscilla Porter, who's part of the Friends of the Wareham Free Library, Assistant Town Administrator Doreen Allen England, myself, and the unanimous choice was Mr. Marshall, who, besides 15 years in Bourne, has some other background that maybe he'd like to just give to the board, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Could you identify yourself for the record, sir?
My name is Patrick Marshall, and applicant for the library director position. I'm excited to be selected. As Mr. Sullivan said, that I have 15 years in Bourne. I have bounced around at a couple of other communities, but I started my career in Wareham back in the late 80s and early 90s, starting at High Street as a page and working in the building when it was still considered the new building, till I went to Dartmouth for a few years.
Wow.
And then moved my career through Foxborough, Medway, and then ultimately Bourne.
Thank you. Do any of you have any questions of Mr. Marshall?
No.
Mr. Muniz?
You said you started at the old library on High
did.
Street?
Yeah.
And then you helped in the transition to the new one, or?
Yes.
Wow, that's
I myself and
history there.
Mrs. Murphy, who are still at the library, were the boxer-uppers of the materials in the old library, carrying in the caravan over here.
great.
He
Thanks.
started as a page a long
I know when he
time
said a
ago.
page, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, no, well, that's a pun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Question?
Okay, you ready? I move approval.
Do you have any questions of us?
Yeah,
I do not.
thank you, by the way.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time with budgeting.
I move that we approve Patrick Marshall as library director.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion to ratify the appointment of Patrick Marshall as the library director? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, and it's unanimous. Thank you very much and welcome aboard. And
Thank
good
you. I
luck.
look forward to the time.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Came back.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
All right, discussion and possible
Sullivan.
vote to approve the application process for a farmer series pouring permit.
Okay, this was new to the town of Wareham in terms of the form and format that we needed. And Mr. Bowen worked with Ms. Slaney and myself to come up with an application which you have a copy of in your
Packet?
packet. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to approve the packet, and then if we do approve the packet, then you would also need to approve or choose a fee for the license. And if you have any questions, Mr. Bowen would be happy to answer them, or myself. Mr. Slavin? Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum? Tropes?
Yep.
Questions?
No, I don't have a
Okay.
question.
Mr. Muniz, do you have any questions, sir?
Pretty simple.
You know, I went through it, and it seems, you know, I guess it's the town versions of the state's application, correct?
Basically.
So, I mean, as long as all the pertinent information is there, I'm good with it.
Good.
You know,
Straightforward.
I'll look at it more closely, but,
It's basically
yeah,
a ditto.
yeah.
All right,
Great.
I move approval of the application.
Second.
Any further discussion on to approve the application process for a farmer series pouring permit? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. And now you get to choose a
Fee.
fee.
What's consistent? Did you look?
Well, I gave you
Yeah, I looked.
the fee schedules for, those were sent to you today, and I can pass them down. So here's, do any of you need these?
Put that somewhere here.
It's interesting to look at them, you know, to put them all on a piece of paper.
Anybody have any ideas you want to throw out?
Well, I'm looking at this, and, you know, if you look at the annual, that's for your, you know, that's for, you know, places that have substantial business, package stores, restaurants, so on and so forth. To me, this is more like the farmer's market wine tasting kind of thing. So I don't see that, you know, I don't think it's necessarily fair to whack these people $2,200 for, you know, all alcohol. That's crazy. I think it's more in the realm of
600?
that much.
So what is your suggestion?
What's a wine tasting
You
of?
want to pass it along?
Wine
to-
tasting is $50 a month.
Right. So farmers market wine tasting, 50 a month. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah.
So what would you do? Just multiply that out?
For a year, you could even give it a discount.
I mean,
Well, it would be $50 a month, and
per
because the
year.
license, I mean, $50 a month for the year, so this is now
600?
July, so it would be August, September, October, November, December, which would be 5 times.
It would be a 5-month year, so we would, you know, charge that amount for the 5 months here, and then maybe set an annual fee for $500. I think that's reasonable for the kind of operation they have.
Do you
Not
want,
big.
do you want to see the,
So you want 250?
Well, yeah, because we're only talking about half the
Okay.
year.
well, no,
well,
the fee would be $50 a month.
Well, it's 250 for this month, for this year.
No.
Fee's
no,
an
no, no.
annual fee.
The
You're
fee is,
just
yeah,
talking about basing it off of the $50.
Yeah, I just,
And then he chiseled down another 100 because he's,
yeah, I got that.
right?
So the
So-
annual fee would be what? 600?
The annual fee would be $600 based on the 50 a month.
And do we normally prorate licenses?
No.
Okay, I'll
there's
leave
only
that up
5
to
months
you.
for this year left.
I mean, we can give, you know, we kind of have all the control here on the fee, so we can give them a 5-month license and charge them $50 a month for it.
Right.
That's
So-
not, that's within our purview if we want to
This year
do it.
would be 250.
Yeah.
Right, and the.
And then the discussion for
annual
next
fee-
year,
Annual fee is $600.
the next, yeah, well, it would be if you
Fine.
just did 12 by 5, if you wanted
Okay,
to give them a break.
I
you could make
move
it
we
500.
approve 250 this year, annual fee 600.
So to clarify, that is $50 a month,
$50 a month paid annually, though.
paid,
No.
It's annual.
paid,
Yeah, let Rich
Please.
weigh in
So
on
much.
this one.
yes, Mr. Bowen.
Make a motion.
I move to approve an annual fee of $600 and to prorate the current application for a fee of $250.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Kind of what I said.
Motion
but
made
okay.
and seconded.
Exactly what I said.
Any further, Mr. Slavin, you have a question?
Yeah, we don't have anything listed at all for a brewery. Now, is a brewery going to fall under a whole separate category? Is it going to fall under?
It's through the state only.
That's, you know, that could be interesting, because I know some of the proposals for Tremont Nail, people were looking for, you know, brew pubs, restaurants, that kind of thing. But if you're talking something like that, you know, that's more analogous to something, you know, like
That'd be like
Brewfish
the-
over in Marion, and that's a full-service restaurant, so they would pay the full all day. I mean,
But they're separate
all
licenses.
alcohol.
Would it
They
fall
have
under
a
wines and
brewery
malt?
license,
That's correct.
and now they're looking for a pouring license. So they're two separate licenses.
That's correct.
So if you're really successful, we'll hit you up for more money. Hey, I'm just being honest.
There's a motion and a second. Any further questions, Mr.
think-
Slavin?
No, just I think somewhere in the future, we need to fill in a couple of the holes.
That's fine.
Okay?
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Be
All
one of the
those,
selectmen initiatives.
Yeah,
That
put
could be
it
one
down
of the
as number
selectmen
4.
initiatives.
all those in favor of approving
Yeah, we'll make it a
the
town
fee of
administrator initiative.
$600 per year?
Prorated at?
All in
Second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Third.
abstaining, it is unanimous.
Discussion and possible vote to approve.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Mr. Peabody et al., that today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday, Thursday at the earliest, please, into the office, okay? Thank you, Mr. Peabody.
Finally.
Okay,
Didn't have to go full school teacher tonight either.
okay, so we are now on to the,
Mark
E.
Borowski to make him the hearing officer. Hearing
Who won
officer
that?
for a special use permit for marijuana
Represent Aspen
processing
Blue.
facility proposed by Aspen Blue
She represents
LLC, 8 Elm Street,
the applicant.
Wareham.
I don't know if you need me here, but,
And you represent who, please?
Aspen Blue,
Okay,
Yeah,
and your
I don't know
name
if you
for the record, please?
Attorney Jillian Morton.
Thank you.
I don't know if you need me here, but I'm here.
Do you have any questions of,
No, I think I brought this up when I saw it come through our paperwork, and, I went through and I couldn't find anywhere we had ever even discussed this at all, so it kind of threw me for a loop. I don't know whether we're supposed to, how we decide who we want to have for hearing officer or not. Obviously, Mr. Bowen probably can't do it in case he had to represent us. So it just, again, does it require us to actually seek out different attorneys and make a decision? Does it require we just take someone that we know? That's why I brought it up.
okay, we have used Mr. Bobrowski before.
Yeah, we've used him, and he's also worked against us as well.
Well, if I may.
Yes.
I think we discussed this a month and a half ago and never took votes on it. And we went around, and I know Selectman Slavin was a member of the planning board. I attend a lot of meetings. I think Selectman Tropiano was a building inspector, and yourself were your attorney, and Mrs. Whiteside has been around. And did we already act on a special permit for the property for a very similar business?
Mr. Bobrowski was the previous hearing officer when Organobrands submitted their
Right.
application.
So what was the results of the hearing? And I never saw that. It was never sent to us. Because what we're doing, we're actually the hearing officers, a special hearing officers for this, I believe. And we can assign that to someone else if we choose to. Am I correct?
Right, we are the licensing
Authority for
authority
that.
under the that
Right,
overlay district for
correct,
the marijuana uses
correct.
in Fremont Nail, yeah.
So I'm just, wondering what was the outcome of the last one? And what's the application? Have you made an application?
If I may, through the chair, I do have applications there in the office. They were submitted a while ago. And it is within the zoning bylaw for the selectmen or their designee to be able to review that. A hearing would happen. The hearing, it did issue a special permit, which is on record for the property, but specific to that applicant. So we're going through the process now with the new application, submitting everything, odor mitigation plans, everything for you or your designee to be able to review. And then a hearing happens, a public hearing for public input on the property.
Correct.
But I do think it's right that you have to vote to be able to, if you want to designate a designee. And then I think it's a 2-week period before that next hearing happens. So we actually had a hearing scheduled, but then this vote didn't
Well, there
happen.
was some
So, right, so we want to go
process
through the proper
issues.
legal channels, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the application or anything, and it makes it difficult. I didn't see the last one. And if we want to hold a hearing or assign someone to do it, I'd like it held in conjunction with the selectman. He can be the officer during that period. We could do it at an earlier time during our regular meeting day, so that we can be part and party to it, and not have it at a time and a date where we really can't attend because we might have other things. But that's just my opinion on that. And
I think the Organa process was completed before you got on the board.
no, I was here.
You here for that one? I'm trying to think of the timing on it.
But Mr. Bobrowski was we actually appointed him for that. And again, we discussed it a few months ago, and I thought we were kind of agreed that we could do it. But I mean, I'm not going to battle it. I just would like to be able to listen to the hearing and have it at a time that's convenient for the board to be present.
What time was the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what time was the hearing that was scheduled for?
That was scheduled.
Right.
What time was that noticed
I believe
for?
it was 5 o'clock.
Is that okay with you, sir?
That's all I'm saying, and,
Yeah.
you know, have it on a Tuesday, hour and a half before or whatever. We could have it.
So you want to have a selectmen's meeting before their,
We'll have the hearing before the selectmen's meeting.
Right. But, I mean, you don't want to take part, and you don't have to, Patrick.
No, it's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I mean, you know, first off, that's why Mr. Bobrowski, by the way, is terrific at this.
You gotta speak up a little bit, Patrick, because
Huh?
Mike's not really picking you up.
He's not picking me
Yeah,
up?
you're not as loud as
Oh.
usual.
I'm going to make a motion right now that we appoint Mark Bobrowski as the hearing officer for a special use permit for the marijuana processing facility proposed by Aspen Blue LLC, 8 Elm Street, Wareham, Mass.
is there a second?
Second.
Second for discussion, thank you. Mr. Muniz?
If the board votes to appoint him as the hearing officer, that's all well and good. I would just like it at a time that's convenient for us to attend. And we can state the time and the date and just clear it through the hearing officer. And, you know, I don't know, would you do that? What's a fee for those? Do you know?
Mr. Bowen, can you answer the question about can we set the time and the place, I guess, as first question? And the fee would, I'm not sure that,
What was it last time?
I'd be able to answer that. We already have the 53G account.
Yes.
That's already paid by my client. It's already set up. So that's something that's a fee that the developer pays,
Right.
right? And then it's the legal fees of whatever his bill would be for that.
Right, I was just inquiring to what that was previously.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I don't know
I'd
the
guess
answer
a
to that.
couple grand to the developer, right? I would say. Yeah, the
Mr.
developer
Bowen?
pays it.
Madam Chairman, usually when the developer is paying,
Excuse me, thank you.
we're probably not scrutinizing it as closely as maybe the developer is.
Okay.
53G, so they're
Yeah,
paying for it,
yeah.
100%.
But to answer your earlier question about time and date and place, you know, I'm sure the hearing officer, whoever it would be willing to work with you in terms of something that would be convenient. Like you said that there was already a time and date that was.
That's correct. I believe Mr. Buckland reached out to Mr. Bobrowski to find a time, reached out to myself. You know, we're all busy attorneys trying to find a time, and then the clients have all their specialists to be able to. So we're trying to, and we would surely have the selectmen involved in a time that works.
So you have a time and date now.
We ideally would like something soon, but since we had something on the schedule. I think it's a 2-week period is the notice, because this needs to get published in the paper.
What were you thinking of, just
I
based
don't
on
have
what
one
you-
now. My recommendation would be to ask if you do appoint Mr. Bobrowski, ask him
Yeah.
what would work for him.
I'm sure, you know, having worked with him in the past, I'm sure he'd be willing to accommodate the wishes of the appointing authority.
Right.
Been a very accommodating gentleman.
So
So we'd
I just
probably
can't imagine it would be a problem.
Probably looking mid-August then with the 2-week early to mid with us being the,
Yeah, because
what?
the 27th is 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
In
mean,
order to get it into the
if
paper.
anybody would understand that you would want to be there and see
Right.
what was going on, I think
Right.
he would.
So it probably wouldn't be until the first week of
This
August,
week of August. Okay.
I'm guessing.
Are we meeting then, or are we still on the 2-week schedule?
No, we're still on the every 2 week. We can.
I mean, we can still do it on
we
and
can-
off Tuesday and come here if you want
Yeah,
to come.
I mean, if
whatever
you
works.
would like to do that, we can do that.
Yeah.
But
Happy in front of our
the-
meeting.
Doesn't
we had-
tire you out for board business later. It's not bad.
then what we would do would be
Doesn't tire
wait
you
to
out
hear,
for board business later.
we would wait to hear from you
Good point.
as to what date and time would
We're
be.
very flexible. So again, like I said, if you're going to designate Attorney Bobrowski, I would go to him. They're ready to go whenever they can at the
Thank you.
earliest.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve Mr. Bobrowski for the hearing, as a hearing officer for the special use permit for a marijuana processing facility proposed by Aspen Blue LLC, 8 Elm Street, Wareham, Mass. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining?
I'll vote present.
401.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you.
I'm sorry, I'm abstaining.
I'm sorry?
He's abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
So it's 311.
1-1.
3011.
3011.
1-1.
Yeah, okay. You're present and you're
We
abstaining.
created a new score line.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Slated Memorial
Um,
score line.
Okay, now the next item on the agenda is the discussion and possible vote to establish the Solar Bylaw Committee. Mr. Muniz, I believe this is yours. We have some documentation in the packet.
Yes, I sent that to,
Is this the one here?
Yes.
yeah.
This is actually pretty good.
So I worked off of some things that were done previous. That's on the left side of the first sheet, conservation interest, town land use interest, general interest, solar industry developer interest. And then I transcended it into 7 voting members, and you have to be a citizen of the town. Local conservation group, farmer, solar developer, landowner within the town who lives in town and has interest. An at-large open space Concom member, a zoning board of appeals member, board of assessors member, planning board member, and then some ex officio non-voting, director of planning and development or department designee. So, it gives them some flexibility on that, and they still have input. Board of Selectmen liaison, and the town administrator or director of finance or departmental designee, if they choose to go that route, and,
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's people who can speak and for these different directors and the town administrator and have conversation at the same time, free up the individuals from the responsibility of the obligation. And I put together a little charge and, which the committee is charged with writing the town of Wareham solar bylaw to reflect the ideals of the citizens of Wareham and protect the rights of landowners. The committee will have a chair and a clerk and any other offices it decides upon. It will operate under the open meeting law, seek public input on a regular basis, and expert advice to help in crafting the document. The committee will sunset, be dissolved, unless a request is made otherwise to the select board after the annual Springtown meeting in 2022.
Any,
I think it's pretty good.
yeah.
The only thing I have is one question, and that's how do you get a nonpartisan at-large person?
Just a citizen
Where's that
who-
going to come from, nonpartisan?
Well, you just
In this
say at
day and
large.
age, everybody's a
Right.
partisan.
In other words, you can just say
That's okay.
at
I
large,
get it.
and a citizen who's, yeah, I know that.
It's like
Everybody
jury
has
selection.
an opinion.
exactly.
Yeah, ask a couple.
Jury selection, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think you did a great job.
I
Mr.
just
Slater?
worked off what some things had been done.
I think you did a terrific
No,
job.
my only concern, which I voiced before, was that I don't want to put an extra strain on the Director of Planning and Economic Development. I'll make the comment again, Mr. Sullivan may not appreciate that. I believe the man is overworked and really can't handle anymore. So my only concern is that we don't lock him in,
And that's why I have or departmental
Department
designee.
Yeah.
just as long as we understand.
Yeah,
Mr.
now you know
Titlebaum?
what you're saying.
Yeah, to Selectman Slavin's concern, I know that, they're in the process of looking for the assistant town planner to come in there, and, the hope is that obviously some of the functions that Ken is doing now will be passed on to that person, and will free Ken up. It'll be somewhat of an internal decision for Ken, and I would guess Derek, as to, who does what with which board, that sort of thing. But, I think that's going to alleviate some of the pressure on him. The other thing in here is, I know when Nancy had come up and spoken with us before, when Derek had broached the idea, there was some discussion about actually having an industry person in there too to try to guide the committee from the industry perspective. So I would suggest adding somebody, make them ex officio, it's fine, they don't need to be a voting member. But I would suggest adding somebody from the actual solar industry in here, because I think that would help this committee understand things from that side and from the regulatory side as well, because they work within the regulatory framework. So I think that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Nancy, what do you think? Do you mind? It's not a public hearing, but she had worked with me sort of
Yeah.
on the
Ms.
beginning
McHale,
of this.
could you come forward, please?
And Mr. Swenson.
Just before Nancy starts, we have the second item down, it says farmer/solar developer, landowner.
No, that's a landowner. That's going to be, typically what we're finding is it's cranberry bog owners who are doing this.
I know, but I'm just saying it also says solar developer.
Okay, you guys, you're supposed to be going through me. I've let it go a little bit too long, so
Apologize.
knock it off, guys. Ms.
Hi.
McHale?
I'm Nancy
you
McHale.
identify yourself?
Thank you very
Thank you.
much for the opportunity. Should I be appointed to this committee? Should it be formed? Yes. Having experts from the outside, the solar developers, they would need to be heard. The intent would be that they would be asked to come, give a presentation, talk about, what the needs are. Again, the more I look at this solar, all of the regulations, the assorted bylaws that are around, the possibilities, the incentives, the finances, it's a deep quagmire in many respects. So there's going to need to be a lot of external expertise coming to bear if we're going to have anything that's going to pass muster as a whole bylaw at the state level, and that's going to be acceptable to get passed at town meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would even add to that, Nancy, that if you have somebody from the industry in there and, their input was made and considered, then it makes it a lot harder for somebody who maybe thinks the industry got beat up on a little bit too much to claim they weren't heard when it comes to appeals and things of that nature. So just something to think about.
Well, again, if this is something that's going through the open meeting law, all of those minutes would be available. People would be able to see what sort of input the assorted experts were able to give.
Just for clarification, it must comply with the open meeting law.
Mm-hmm. That's why
Do
it's
you-
an official board.
Right. Do you have would you object to having a representative from the solar industry as an ex officio member,
Well,
sir?
The only reason I didn't is I didn't want any one particular one, but to allow them to attend the meetings and speak, and I would hope the committee would seek advice from different solar groups, and, there's probably
That would be.
5 or 6 that are being represented in the town at this point in time, different ones,
I think
and
Jim's
through their
right.
engineers. So it's not that I'm against it, I just,
I don't think you'd get anyone to sit on it. I don't think anyone would say, okay, we're going to come
Yeah.
sit on your committee. I think they would come and give a presentation and very happy. I think they would answer all your questions anytime you asked.
Correct.
But I don't think they would actually sit on the committee.
I don't think they would want to sit on my committee. I agree with
Exactly,
you. But
exactly.
I think that
But I
they
think
they
you're going to
would.
need their help, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is about getting something that is workable for the town, and trying to balance the need for looking out for the, if you want to call it, the character of the town, which has always been rural, agricultural, recreational, but it has an industrial root, and we need to figure out how to balance all of that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think
I've heard enough.
yeah,
I'm fine.
I think you've done a very nice
Well,
job
thank you.
and a complete job of putting together this presentation.
And just to say, I known Nancy for, I guess, close to 20 years, maybe 17 from the Land Trust. And I know that anything she's involved in, it's always done in a very professional manner and very open, and it's not, like, this is the way we're going to do it. And so,
Well, we're not interviewing
no,
anybody
I'm just
right now.
saying,
Yeah.
so, I'm just making a statement.
Bylaw committee and approve the recommended
structure.
Structure.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay. Motion made by Mr. Tropiano and seconded by Mr. Titlebaum to approve this bylaw study committee structure as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstaining, it is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Muniz.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Nancy.
very much.
Thank you, Ms. McHale.
And just, we'll be putting up a,
It will go on the website as soon as we can get it up, and we will also put it in the paper.
thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to guess we're going to get at least one email tonight or something.
Well, you can email all you want, but until we put it up, it's not there. Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, discussion and possible vote of assignments and reassignments of liaisons. We are doing this tonight because we put it off about 7 times. So you all have the list in front of you. There have been some requests for changes, so do you have your lists in front of you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audit Slavin, is that okay?
If I ever get it back together again.
As a member?
Yes.
Okay. Board of Assessors, the delegate, or it says delegate, would be,
I have no idea. It's kind of an interesting committee, because a lot of times when they meet, it's executive session.
right.
So I've been to a couple of meetings, and it's,
Why are you called delegate as opposed to liaison?
I don't know, you tell me.
Sounds cool, but we're going to change it to liaison. Anybody
'Cause I
have,
can't vote, can I?
no.
You only got elected to selectmen, not assessor, too.
Yeah. Okay, Board of Health is me, if that's okay. Capital Planning is Slavin, if that's okay.
Still.
Okay, Regional Refuse is Muniz, Menard, and, help me out here.
Yes. Oh, no, Joe's not
Amanda
on there.
Cobb.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amanda
okay.
Cobb.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Amanda Cobb. Any problems with any of those? Nope.
I'm good.
Okay. Cemetery Commissioner, we just did, they were down to 1 member, so they now have 2 members. Mr. Slavin, I don't believe you've been to any of their meetings, ever?
Oh, yeah, I have.
You have? Okay.
They haven't met in quite a while.
There's only 1 member.
Well,
They
they
have-
actually
Met
have,
with
yeah.
themselves quite often.
They had 0 for a while.
Do you want to stay?
I'll stay if they're going to meet again, because they meet over at municipal
They
maintenance.
meet at municipal maintenance, and they meet during the day.
I know Kathy always calls me and makes
Okay.
sure I show up or else.
We've had some applicants for that,
We had,
2, I think.
yeah, I can't remember, but we appointed 1 tonight, so we have 1 more vacancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Community events, the member would be Slavin, and the liaison would be Titlebaum. Is that a problem to anybody?
No, the only question is, since we have a voting member who's a selectman, I'm not sure we need a liaison for the same thing.
I don't think you do either.
I think
Okay,
that's
so
the
should we just-
duplication.
I would just cross it out.
Cross the liaison off? Okay. Community preservation is me. Conservation is me. Council on Aging is Slavin and Whiteside?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take care of like the aging community,
I'm sorry?
I'll take care of the friendly community aging thing that we're doing for the grants, and the
Oh,
rest of
yeah.
it's yours.
Excellent, yeah. Finance Committee,
Remember, your contract's coming up soon.
do you want to see the teacher? Okay. Liaisons to the Finance Committee would be Slavin and Titlebaum?
The only reason I was liaison was I was chairman at the time, so it's not something that
Me.
interests me.
That's right.
Okay, so Slavin, Whiteside. Historic District Commission Liaison, do you choose to? You choose to be on that,
Oh, yeah.
Historic District. Okay, anybody have a problem with that? Nope. Historical Commission,
That's the one I'd like to switch off that to somebody else.
okay.
Mr. Manise, I think, said he would consider
Want
that.
to do that?
We moved that to Jim already.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, thank you. The Joint Transportation is Alan and
The
you.
alternative, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Although I've never had to go because he goes every
Because he
time.
goes all the time.
Have no-
Library Board
He
of,
asked me one time, I think.
Library Board of Trustees would be, it's Titlebaum at the moment. You want to stay there?
That's fine.
Okay. Marine Resources is Muniz.
Sure, but we need to get that posted up on
It's
committees.
posted.
Oh, it is?
Yep, and it was put in the paper as
Thank
well.
you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
You're welcome. Minot Forest Liaison is Titlebaum. Open Space is me. Planning is Muniz.
And Alan,
Well,
they share it, right?
they don't share it unless they want to share it.
don't, but we do.
They talked about sharing it previously.
Yeah, because we both have conflicts at certain times, so
Okay.
we'll cover for each other.
Yeah.
I wrote it down somewhere along the way. You decided to share it. It's written on already on the.
It's not on my copy, but that's okay. So it would be Muniz and Slavin? Okay.
Sure.
Plymouth County Commissioner, Allen is a member.
Yeah, Alan, yeah.
Recycling is Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. Road Commissioners is
I have the road commissioner.
Trixie. School Committee is
You and I
me
both.
and Trixie. Sewer Commissioners is Trixie. Southeastern Massachusetts Commuter Rail, the representative is Allen. Serped is Commissioner for the Board of Selectmen, and Michael King is the Commissioner for the Planning Board. Did they take any action to change any of that? Do you know?
They have to go ahead, but as we all know, I was going to make a comment later. Mr. Barrett decided not to continue anymore after 14 years.
Right.
And
There's a new chair.
so there'll be a new chair voted on, I believe it's next meeting.
Yep.
So they can't do anything until that's put in place.
Okay, so should we leave it blank for the moment?
I'd leave it with Mr. King unless he decides he doesn't want to continue.
Oh, okay. Veterans Council, Slavin?
Yep.
Okay. Affordable housing is,
I'm a member.
you're a member, so I don't see why we need a liaison.
I don't know, yeah, just,
We don't. I mean, if,
should
yeah,
just list me as
I
a
just
member.
took you off. Cultural Council is me. Redevelopment is Peter and myself as chair and member. And Zoning Board of Appeals liaison would be Alan and Jim.
And
both?
Jim, yeah, you guys
Okay.
are both sharing that. I got that.
Want to be
Okay.
changeable.
All right, these will
Yeah.
be updated tomorrow.
For both.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for your volunteering. May I suggest to all of the liaisons, I think I already did suggest it in writing, but I'm going to suggest it out loud. Each of these committees has a report due to the town meeting at the end of July. Each committee is supposed to have a report handed into the Board of Selectmen's office. So please make sure that your committee, that you're the liaison to, has in fact written one of those.
So can I just?
Yep.
Maybe it was sent to me. I picked this up in the office today.
What is it?
That's the, for the annual town reports. And so I didn't even know that it had been sent out yet. So I don't know if the committees have
Committees-
received it.
Yes,
But they don't always visit their mailbox in the selectman's office.
it was sent,
I'm just,
yeah, I hear you. It was sent electronically to all
okay.
chair
Maybe it's-
people.
Maybe it's buried in my,
Well, we'll
list.
send it again because it's already
Yeah.
halfway through the month and we
It's
haven't
a
gotten any
beautiful
reports.
memo from me that I never wrote.
Yeah, I got that part.
good job.
I would also remind you that the reports should be no more than 2 pages long, except for the town clerks and the Mr. Foster's, and there may be another. But we try and, be concise about what happened during the year, which is what it's supposed to be.
July
Yes, Slavin?
29.
Mr. Slavin?
Doesn't matter. Trying to get a committee chair or whatever to do this has been well nigh impossible. If we get 30% participation, we're lucky. If you go back over the last 20
I'm aware of
years.
that.
So we'll try, but I can't guarantee it.
I am aware of that, but it is part of their duty.
Why don't, when the book is assembled, for those who didn't submit, just put them in there with a heading and a simple statement, this committee did not submit a report, period. And
I-
start shaming them, Whiteside. I'm surprised you didn't think of that.
I would prefer to try and get people to play the game the right way without shaming them, but I have no problem in shaming them the next time around. Any other, any other business, any other 48-hour business?
None.
Okay. Mr. Sullivan, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, that's the last time I talked too much, so.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you very much. We put out the request for proposal and qualifications for the Cdbg grants. You should all have the packets in front of you. We received one response from COG Inc. They're known to us, have worked with us for a few years now. The major change with them is one of their principals, Peter Sanborn, who's done a lot for the community, has retired. So we appreciate all his hard work. If you remember, when we moved from some of the employee base back to the consultant base, he's the one that helped us really work with DHCD to get the grant back up to $825,000.
Can you please tell the audience at large what CDBG stands for?
Community Development Block Grant. We're one of the many entitlement communities within the Commonwealth, meaning that if you've done it properly, you will get a portion of Community Development Block Grant funds that are allocated to the Commonwealth. We get about $825,000. Why do we get that? We get that because basically a good portion of our community is below the median income line. So while many think of Wareham, will look at it as a wealthy community, when you think about the waterfront, there are many socioeconomic issues. So that's why every year we receive this grant. And traditionally it's been used for nonprofits, about $120,000 towards the nonprofits, which you can do about 5 of those every year. So it's been things like Damien's Pantry, the Boys and Girls Club when they were operating, Turning Point. So there's also been projects such as the bump outs, which make Selectman Titlebaum and others so happy.
No, it's not just Selectman Titlebaum. It's a whole bunch of us.
But there's been other projects. So they come. We bid this out now, and it's been really the professional management from these groups it's been a lot better to have them. It's so precise. You need to go to all the trainings. You need to continue up with it. We found that it's better, and I think a little cheaper for the community because we're not paying pensions. We're not paying health care for the majority. So the only paid town employee through this is the bookkeeper position, and that's a 35-hour-a-week position.
On the
Right.
town staff.
Correct, yeah.
And previously, it took, about 2.5 town employees to administer this?
Yeah, we had a full-time director, we had, and then 2 other employees, and I think then a bit of a part-timer for that as well, so.
Yeah, I think it's more efficient, and I think, under this system, as you indicated, Mr. Sanborn did an outstanding job of reassembling the records, getting the financials straightened out, and getting us back in position to get to get the $825,000 eligibility, which for a while there we had it diminished.
Right, and why this is coming before the Board of Selectmen is, this is the Selectmen's grant, if you will, so it's up to you on how to manage it, so.
Excellent. Any questions, Mr. Slavin?
No, basically, they've been doing a really good job. I think for the amount of money we expend, we get a real strong return. I hope everybody understands being a mini entitlement grant community is not a happy thing.
No.
Unfortunately, it puts us in one of 11 communities like this. but it does guarantee that we get this grant every year, because every other community, and there's 351 in the state of Massachusetts, so 11 million entitlement grants, you're guaranteed to get money. Everybody else has to work against each other and bid for it, and there's no guarantee you're going to get anything at all. So it's one way it's nice, another way it's not. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Muniz?
No,
Thank
nothing.
you. Mr. Titlebaum?
No.
I'm all set. Mr. Sullivan, thank
So
you.
what I would request is just a vote to hire COG Inc., Community Opportunities Group
Is there
Incorporated,
Motion
as
made
per
and
the-
second. Is there a second?
response.
There's a second, but we're taking this up under 48-hour business.
Yeah, it would be the TA's report, by understand, so we can get it going and then do a,
Confirmatory.
yeah,
Affirmatory?
Yeah,
Okay.
just because it's not on the agenda, that was my only concern.
gotcha.
Okay.
What's the length of the contract?
This is a 1 year with two
Renewable?
1-year renewals, if we can.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. It will be on the 27th for a confirmatory vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan? Anything else?
Thank you. We also have the $10,000 Clear Channel gift that we've received. So if we could vote to approve that. And then tomorrow, we receive, Thursday, we'll get the check for the linkage fee for the electronic billboard on the highway by the Robertsons. So that's $25,000. That's general fund. The 10,000 goes to the TA gift account.
What's that for?
That's to expend on community items. Just
What,
doesn't
you say
go
it's
to me.
Clear what?
Clear
Clear
Channel. That's for the Route 25, Cranberry Highway, electronic billboard, the one-sided electronic billboard.
So do you need a
Question on
motion?
that, what are we doing with the free time we get?
So we put different events, different items up. We get a certain number of spins on it. Sometimes we've been asked by the school to do things like town meetings put up there. We're trying to keep it so that it isn't, you don't have for somebody's birthday or anything. But Amber Alerts we've put up there, things like that. So.
I think I saw one for onset and activities in onset as
Right.
well. So
Yeah.
it really is first of all, it's very visible. And second of all, it is well used. Do you need a motion?
Please, to accept the $10,000
Okay.
gift to the TA gift account.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the $10,000 gift, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Do you need a motion on the 25?
And the 25,000 is a linkage. It's actually considered a linkage fee, so we don't need to do anything. That
Okay.
goes directly to the general fund.
Okay.
Billboard?
Yeah, that's for the dual-sided billboard off of the.
So I will put the 10,000 on as a confirmatory vote as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, anything else, Mr. Sullivan?
No, not at
Thank
this
you.
time.
Liaison reports. Mr. Titlebaum.
Nope.
Mr. Tropiano.
I'm all set.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes. I was home watching the planning board meeting, so.
I don't think they can hear you, sir.
I was home watching the planning board meeting, and they're doing hybrid, so they're utilizing both the TV, the computers, and you can also watch it through your station, whether it's Comcast or Verizon. So the hybrid portion would be Zoom. Mr. Buckland sits basically where Mr. Attorney Bowen is, and he operates a computer and loads up the plans or whatever else, and still takes part in it. It's working okay, a little trouble with the audio, but, it takes a little bit, and I got to give him credit for sticking with it and working his way through it. I think it's a good process. It'll take a little bit to get the links out, but it provides for I believe, greater interaction with the public. And I don't think it would be an issue if as long as we have a video of the meetings, if we had a failure on the Zoom end of it. So it's something to consider as we move forward, because it can be done until, I believe, April of '22 to provide. So that's just food for thought. So during it and after, they expressed an opinion that they wish they had had an opportunity to attend and express their opinion for actions related to executive sessions related to planning board. And I would think that would be appropriate to have a representative attend the selectmen's executive board meetings if legal actions could be pending for those boards to, reflect what their thoughts are directly. So it was just, it was some discussion that they brought forward, and I can see where it would have input, and they'd only be invited for that portion of our executive session to have discussion, and that's just, they felt a little left out, that they didn't have any input on decisions that we're making that reflects, that occurred and were created from their board.
Thank you. I can speak to the hybrid issue. The law is quite specific that the audio must be available and clear to the public. I know this because I received some complaints about a committee who was doing hybrids, and the public was unable to hear the Zoom portion, but when they turned their TV on, they could hear it perfectly. WCTV does not have the staff during the summertime to have hybrid for everyone. They just simply don't have it. But when I researched the law, the law is very specific that you can have pictures of people doing whatever, but unless you can hear them,
Or you record the audio.
no, it must be clearly understood by the audience.
Well, we can discuss that later.
Okay.
Do
You haven't? Okay. Anything else?
Oh, no, and that was just, discussion, and so I figured I'd bring it to the board because it's something that their board expressed, or two members of the board. It wasn't a board discussion. It was two members from the board.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have I gone to all of you, gentlemen?
Alan's the last one.
Ready?
Have at it.
Okay. First off, through SERPED, what they call EDA, which is the Federal Economic Development Authority, we have what we call the Blue Technology Corridor, which goes from Cape Cod down to Rhode Island. This particular project was partially sponsored through SERPED as well, but also from Representative Kennedy and Representative Keating. University of Massachusetts was supposed to be spearheading the actual work. There's been some issues at the university, and I'll make it very simple, they dropped the ball. And this particular project was being threatened to not go anywhere. So it's being taken over. Myself and Jeff Walker, the executive director, are working to put everything back together so we can get this back online. This particular project we're somewhere in the area of $100 million. It will bring together all the different technology-based companies that are working on, water, et cetera, which is one of the newest areas coming down the line. And we'll keep after it, and I'll keep you informed as we go along. It's going to be a lot of work for everybody, but it'll be really interesting. I already mentioned that the planning board basically is going to meet and have a new chair next week. And again, I would like to thank Mr. Barrett for his 14 years of service as the chair of that committee. As far as the state goes, MMA, et cetera, will be meeting in place starting in September. The Zoom meetings, et cetera, will be over then. And I think a lot of the state agencies will be doing the same thing. The other piece that came up, basically the MMA puts out what they call a Selectmen's Handbook. It's about 260 pages. I've been assigned to rewrite the last 2 chapters. There's 6 of us working on it in total. I would suggest that anyone who considers running for select board procure a copy of this. It explains everything to do that a selectman does. It picks everything up possible you can make a mistake with and prevents it. It's invaluable for anybody running for selectman. I believe I asked Jim, you said you had a copy.
I have a copy, and I believe you can get it online, too.
You can get it online. It's 2014, but there'll be a new 2021 coming out hopefully next month or so when I get finished with my portion as well. That's it.
Thank you.
You're up.
Nothing.
It's up to you.
Okay, I have nothing because we reported on Mr. Ethier's retirement before.
So I have one set of minutes.